Maybe not for this year, but hopefully you can implement this next year. Celebrate Christmas to experience joy, unity, love, and the coziness that the season comes with. Now, in our African communities out of Africa today, so say in America or Europe or wherever, you realize that we are slowly copying the Western style of celebrating Christmas. You see people in fancy photos, in pajamas, people spending thousands of dollars on gifts. And at the end of Christmas, everyone's wallet is taking a hit. Now, is this something that we should encourage, or is it something that we need to put an end to? Hello, everyone, and welcome back to What Time Is It? The number one talk show where we share opinions about the African mentality, culture, development, entertainment, and lifestyle. Now, for those of you I haven't met yet, my name is Ntubenane, and I am your host. So, I'm going to start today's video with a question. What is Christmas about? Is it a time for gift giving? Is it a time to show entitlement? Is it a time for us to create family traditions for our kids? And are these the values we want to pass to the next generation? Now, before we start answering that question, permit me, I'm using my phone because I wrote some points down. That way I don't forget what I want to say on this video. Now, in order to respond to this question, I need you to ask yourself, what do I think about Christmas? Now, in the African community, especially those in the diaspora, you notice that Christmas has become a thing of show off. Now, let's take a little recap to back in the days or before Africans came to the diaspora. Celebration of Christmas, what was it like? Now, typically, you see people coming together as a family, you see exchange of gifts, you see especially food, right? And this is so funny. In Cameroon, where I grew up at, there are there are groups of people who would only eat rice on Christmas Day. That's especially my culture. So rice is Christmas food, right? Rice and chicken. So just like Thanksgiving is for turkey, Christmas is typically or was typically attributed or attached to chicken. Now you realize that back then, especially when I was younger, Christmas back in Cameroon and in many other African countries was very similar. This is information I got from talking to other people, my friends from other countries, and they all can testify that celebrating Christmas was pretty much the same thing like it happened for some of us in Cameroon. So typically, children would dress up really nicely, parents would buy Christmas dresses for the kids and hide it until Christmas morning. The excitement was amazing. Like kids were so happy. It felt like you were going to have a heart attack just waiting to know if you got a Christmas dress or not. And I mean, of course, at the last minute, maybe when you guys went to take a shower, coming back from your bath, you realize that you have your dress on the bed and all of that. Some other things that my friends and I used to do on Christmas Day was to visit one uncle to the next, just so people can give you money, right? And that was so interesting. Now, moving over to America, I realized that it's a whole different ballgame. Christmas is celebrated in a different style per the Western culture. I know that it's a similar celebration in the rest of Europe and, of course, every other part of the world where Christmas is celebrated. And you cannot help but ask, how is Christmas now celebrated on this other side of town? You know, Christmas is still very similar for most African countries today, but I want us to pay attention to how Africans who live in the diaspora spend Christmas. And that's why I asked the questions that I did at the beginning of this video. So going back to our African communities in the diaspora, you realize that Christmas is a period where families typically gather to celebrate together. People have matching pajamas, the older people are getting gifts for the kids, and all of that. And it's beautiful. Now, one thing that calls my attention, which is going to tie directly to the traditions we're trying to create for Christmas and what we want to pass to our kids, and the kind of the message or the style that we want to leave for the next generation to emulate. Now, you notice, or from speaking to people and just asking how they spend Christmas with their families, what the lifestyle is all year before we gather, you realize that a lot of people spend the entire year. They don't talk to each other, they don't communicate. Some people are even fighting, like some family members are even fighting with each other. And then you realize that when it's almost Christmas time, people start thinking, hey, if we don't show up as a group, people are going to ask questions and all of that. So they go ahead and they gather, right? And they take really cool pictures and they show the world that they're a family. Now, which brings me to the second question that I asked on this at the beginning of this video. What traditions are we creating? Now, note that the African traditional style of celebrating Christmas, you realize that it was all about cooking together. It was all about kids playing together, singing. There's a lot of happiness, like real things. It wasn't so much about the gifts that you get, it was more about genuine family time. But now, if you observe and talk to a lot of Africans who are living out of Africa today, you realize that majority of what we see on social media about Christmas is just for show. And personally, I think this is not what we want to live for the next generation. We want to uphold our African culture of unity. If you look at the African culture, we gather when we're mourning, we gather when we're celebrating. Typically, we're always there for each other. And yes, life may be so difficult in the diaspora. Things may be a little different from what we are used to. But I would like to encourage each and every one of us today watching this video that we should hold on to our African style of celebrating Christmas. I'm not objecting that people should get matching pajamas or spend money on Christmas presents. What I'm saying is we should do this from the bottom of our hearts. We should do it with love. We should buy presents that we can afford. We should think about January, which usually tends to be the longest month of the year after all the expenditure for Christmas. So make a plan. Celebrate Christmas like you're celebrating life. Celebrate Christmas like you are intentional about spending time with family. Do not celebrate Christmas and the next day or 1 week after Christmas, you regret everything that you did during the festivities. Now, that said, I want us to take this point as a word of caution. Maybe not for this year, but hopefully you can implement this next year. Celebrate Christmas to experience joy, unity, love, and the coziness that the season comes with, and not to feel depressed by the numbers on your bank account or how you're supposed to figure out living until your next paycheck comes in. That said, thank you so much for watching until the end of this video. Please do not forget to check the description below for information about my stylist and the designers. And also, like I always say, sharing is caring and knowledge is power. Therefore, sharing knowledge is caring powerfully. So do not forget to like and share this video. And until next time, you've been watching What Time Is It? Ciao.